Good evening, everyone. Toastmaster members, welcome guests. My first speech is the icebreaker. And I've been here a couple months. I've had an opportunity to do various roles, but this is my first actual speech. And I was reading the icebreaker. I guess it's about telling maybe the story of my life. And if you will bear with me for a few minutes and not be too bored and fall asleep, I'll share some details about myself. I once asked my mother years ago when I was in school, there was a long, perplexed problem, and, I said, how do I start? Where should I start? She said, start at the beginning. So I'll start at the beginning. I was born and raised in Chicago. I love the city. I was born actually on the near south side, Mount Sinai Hospital, which is on Ogden Avenue in California. And after that, we had a brief stint. We moved to Brooklyn, came back to Chicago, basically to the north side. And for all the years I've grown up, it was on the north side. I currently live on the northwest side of Chicago. And it's hard, I can see that rivalry between north and south siders. I mean, south side is beautiful. Some of the architecture over there is beautiful. But there's some fine lines. And, I can see the Cubs and Sox. There's really something there. You're a south sider, you like the Sox. You're a north sider, you like the Cubs. And for me, I found that even though I was born on the south side, more raised on the north side, I found myself more comfortable in the north side. It would be hard to transplant myself there. So I guess, I don't know, that makes me a Cubs fan or whatever. I don't know if I should go around saying that. But that's how I was born and raised. I'm a product of the Chicago Public Schools, and I'm very proud of that. Don't hold it against me. I went K through 8, well, actually K through 5, and then changed schools, middle school, and then went on to high school. And I did very well, and I had good teachers. I guess it helped from coming from a background. My parents are of European descent, and I was born and raised here, but they were a hard work ethic people. Not really a big education. They barely finished 6th, 7th grade. But I was the only one in my family, the youngest of 3, to take school seriously. I remember in the 2nd grade, they would have these scholastic book fairs. And I would just buy and read books. I'd buy like 20 books at a time. Maybe kids would buy 1 or 2. I'd want 20. And I would just sit down and just read as much as I can and learn as much as I can. In the 2nd grade, there was a teacher. This is in the early 70s. The teacher, and she's a big, muscular woman, she had a question, what purple food can you eat? Now, I'm in the 2nd grade, and I said, violets. Now, I think she probably wanted peppers or maybe eggplant or something. And she said, where did you come up with violets? And I read his story, Ewell Gibbons, back then, the introduction of grape nut cereal. I read his biography, and he was more of a naturist person and living on nuts or berries and things like that. And I once read, you can eat violets, And so I told her that, and she got upset at me. And it was like, why are you coming up with this answer? And, that was not the answer she looked for. But that was, I think it set a precedent. I always like to think outside the box and not just conform to one thing. I also finished school, like I said, went on. After high school, I went to the University of Illinois in Chicago. Back then it was called the Chicago Circle Campus. It's a good school. It was a commuter school. I still lived at home, even though now they've established dormitories and things like that, but I commuted. I would literally wake up at 6 a.m., take the train downtown, stay there all day, 6 p.m., and then return home. Now, K through high school, I did very well in school. I had very strong academic grades, honor rolls, A's and B's. But when I came to college, it was a whole different ballgame. It was very hard, very difficult. It was a whole different level. It was from the minors to the majors. It was very difficult. I stuck with it, even though it was challenging. The first couple of years, I stuck with it. There were times in my junior year, it's almost like you wanted to give up. I got some jobs, I was making good money, it was exciting, should I stay in school? But I realized education, and we have an educator here, without education, that lays the foundation really to formulate, work ethics and your mind and ability to learn other things and projects. So I'm a big proponent, I'll get on that website, I'm a big proponent for education. It's the best experience you can have. Even though it was so hard, And it took me 5 years instead of 4 years to complete the curriculum, but I never regret that day in my life. I'm so proud of that. That's one of my biggest accomplishments that I've had and I've attained. Beyond that, after school, I've also been married. Some of you know I always tell jokes about my wife. I've been married. I have 2 wonderful boys. Talk about fun, spending time with them and educating them and watching them grow and nurturing them and just developing and disciplining them and making sure they stay and follow the path in their education pursuit and learn as much as they can. So that's a little bit of my background on where I grew up and raised, and I see I'm running out of time. I want to thank you for being a great audience. I thank you again.